So let's talk about Professor Jiang. You've probably seen his name floating around lately. See, he's not your typical talking head on TV, but he's got this incredible track record for making predictions that just happen. I mean, he called the last election, he flagged JD Vance as a potential VP pick way before anyone else was talking about it, and he laid out exactly why a conflict with Iran was basically inevitable. So yeah, when a guy with a record like that starts talking about a hidden system running the world, it's probably worth listening to. Okay, let's get into it. You ever get that feeling, you're watching the news or you're looking at the economy and something in your gut just feels off, right? It's like the story they're telling you and the reality you're actually living in are two totally different things. Well, Professor Zhang says that's not just a hunch. It's a sign that we're all looking at the wrong map. So, what is this new map then? Well, according to Zhang, the very first thing you have to understand is that our world isn't just a little bit misleading. No, no. He says it's a full-on, shared hallucination. And he's not being poetic. He means that literally. To explain this, he pulls out a classic, Plato's cave. So picture it. You're chained up your entire life, and all you can see are these shadows dancing on a cave wall. You'd think those shadows, the stock market, political drama, the nightly news, were the whole universe. You'd name them, you'd argue about them, you'd build your entire life around them, never even knowing they were just flimsy projections. And he makes it crystal clear this isn't some dusty old dot experiment. His words are blunt. That's us. That's now. This is our reality. But, and this is the big twist Jiang adds, the chains holding us there, they're not real. They're just ribbons. We are volunteers inside this hallucination. Okay, so if we're living in this massive constructed reality, what's powering it? What's the engine? This is where Zhang drops his next big idea. And honestly, it completely changes how you think about money, value, and wealth. He says the ultimate raw material in the world isn't gold, it's not oil, it's not even labor. It's consciousness, your focused attention. The mental energy you're using right this second to listen to this, the focus you put into your job, your creativity, that is the source code of all economic value. And this is exactly how the system harvests it. It's a simple process. You pour your life energy, your consciousness, into your work. Then, at the end of the month, you get a paycheck. But what did you really do? You traded a chunk of your finite life for money, which Jiang just calls frozen attention. The entire global economy, he says, is a giant machine built to suck this energy out of billions of people and concentrate it at the top. Now, this brings us to the real conflict happening right now. Forget nations and markets. Zhang argues there's a war for the soul of humanity raging between two different ways of storing value. On one side, you have the old world, the US dollar. It's basically a claim on human attention. It needs us to have any value. On the other side, the new world, AI. It can generate its own attention, its own focus, and its own value, completely separate from us. That is the real war. So who built this crazy machine? Well, this is where Jiang zooms out and shows us what he calls the game masters, the architects of the entire global system that we're all playing in. And we're not talking about presidents and prime ministers here. These are the institutions that operate a level above elected governments. Right at the very top, you've got the Bank for International Settlements. It's like the central bank for all the other central banks. Then below them, the IMF and the World Bank. These are the guys who write the rules of the game that every country has to play if they want to get in on the action. And here it is. This is the game board they built. It's a four-tiered system, and it's designed to funnel value upwards. Right at the bottom, priced the lowest, you have resources. The actual physical stuff you need to survive. That's Russia and the Middle East. One level up, you've got manufacturing, basically China. Above them is the knowledge layer, patents, software. That's Europe and the Five Eyes. And sitting right at the tippy top, extracting value from everyone below, finance, controlled by the United States. But, of course, not everyone is happy with where they are on the board. You've got players like China and Russia who are still in the game, but they are actively trying to change the rules. And then you have countries like Iran and North Korea who are just locked out completely. They're not even allowed to play. And according to Jiang, this tension is the real driver behind almost every geopolitical conflict you see. So, how do the game masters keep everybody in their place? He says it's not through brute force. It's much more sophisticated than that. It's through three interlocking systems of hidden control. So pillar one is intelligence. He says the real job isn't just spying. It's to rope the elites of other countries into the system.
Pillar 2 is organized crime. It's not an enemy of the system, it's a tool. It creates shady financial deals and secrets that bind powerful people together. And then there's the third pillar, the one Jiang says is the most powerful, and that's science.
Yeah, this is probably his most controversial idea. He says the main purpose of big institutional science isn't to find objective truth. It's to find evidence to justify the current power structure, to make this whole game seem like it's just the natural order of things.
Now, if these systems are real, there have to be people who can move between them, right? Jiang calls them operators. These are individuals who can just glide effortlessly between the worlds of high finance, deep state intelligence, and organized crime. And his main case study is Jeffrey Epstein. He lays out his career path as a perfect blueprint, starts in elite finance at Bear Stearns, gets tangled up in arms trafficking with Iran-Contra, has these deep, deep ties to Israeli intelligence through Ehud Barak. Jiang says that's not just a weird resume, that is the resume of an operator, someone who works across all three pillars of control. He also points to someone like Jared Kushner, who went from real estate to being at the center of Middle East politics, all while leveraging this huge network connecting global finance, raw political power, and religious groups. These operators, Jiang argues, are the human glue holding the hidden system together.
Okay, so after laying out this massive, complicated system of control, you're probably feeling a little powerless. But this is the moment where Jiang's entire theory does a 180. He says the solution isn't to fight the game, it's to just walk away.
And here's the key. The system's power is a total illusion. There are not enough game masters in the world to physically force 8 billion people to do anything. Their entire structure depends on one single thing, our belief that it's real. This is why they don't need soldiers on every street corner. The system polices itself. Think about it. When you start questioning the official story, it's usually not the elites who shut you down. It's the other people in the cave with you. They enforce the rules on each other because they're so invested in the shadows on the wall. Which brings us back to maybe the most important line in his whole argument. The constraints that you feel, the social pressure, the economic anxiety, all of it, they only have the power that you give them. They aren't iron chains. They are ribbons. You can break them anytime you want. So the takeaway from all of this isn't some call to arms. It's actually a call to stillness. The most radical, revolutionary act isn't to fight the shadows. It's to stop giving them your energy. To take your consciousness, your most precious resource, and invest it in things that are tangible and real. Your family, your community, the actual ground beneath your feet. In the end, Jiang doesn't really give you an answer. What he does is he gives you a map of the game. He shows you how it's powered by your own focus, and he points out that the exit was never locked. And he just leaves you with this one question. Now that you know the game runs on your attention, where are you going to choose to place it?